Hi, and welcome everybody to another edition of the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast. It's Friday, February the 10th. It's Super Bowl weekend officially, but we're talking college basketball today. And like every Friday morning, I am joined by Mr. Jesse Shule of jesseshule.com, the mighty one of weightlifting prowess, Mr. Jesse Shule. How are you, my friend?
Feeling pretty good, Ross. I woke up on the right side of the bed today. Just one game last night. It was a winner. Just all around feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I allow Jesse to wear tank tops because he's built like an ox. His weightlifting prowess precedes him, so we'll allow him right now to wear the tank top until he loses. If he loses a couple in a row, then we'll change our luck a little bit. But we've been doing. We're coming off that 3-0 the other day with me, you, and Sean, and then we did our Super Bowl special on Wednesday. And folks, if you missed that, we gave out a bunch of winning props for the Super Bowl, and you can go right to our YouTube channel and check out the archive of that video. Very informative. And if those of you interested in making some wagers on props during the Super Bowl, I would highly advise you go there. And speaking of which, folks, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, take a second to do so. It costs you absolutely nothing. You're watching this video because you're interested in sports betting. Some of the best handicappers in the country on this channel with Jesse Shule and Sean Higgs from picksandparleys.net, and also Doug Upstone of DocSports.com. And subscribe, folks. I don't know why you wouldn't. And for those of you who have, and there's many of you out there, the station or the channel continues to grow, and we appreciate all your support in watching and giving us feedback on our videos. All right, let's get to what we're going to talk about today. Jesse is going to be covering the Xavier and Butler game. That game will take place at 7 p.m. Eastern time on Fox Sports 1. And I'll be looking at Dayton and St. Louis. That game played at Dayton Arena, Dayton University Arena, excuse me. And that game will tip at 8 p.m. Eastern time and be on ESPN2. Jesse, before we get to our free picks, tell the folks where you prefer they find you. I'm assuming jesseshule.com, and how you've been doing of late and what you may have coming up this Super Bowl weekend.
All right, Ross. Well, you can find me on Twitter at Jesse Shule. If you go there right now, you'll see a nice meme I posted of my man Sean Higgs looking good in his orange jumpsuit. And how am I doing of late? 63 and 35, 64%. For 16,840 units overall in 2023. Pretty pleased about that. Anytime you're hitting 64% for the year, that's pretty good. And you can get all my picks at jesseshule.com or Picks and Parlays or Sports Capping or Sports Memo or wherever you really want, actually.
There you go. 63 and 35 since the calendar year turned to 2023. So that's a damn good record, no matter how you cut it, folks. So, and it's no fluke because Jesse's coming off a tremendous 2022 as well. Great NBA handicapper, number one overall in win percentage since he joined sports capping years ago. Also off a terrific NFL season, and he gets it done, folks. So in all sports, a soccer handicapper as well. So for those of you who are soccer fans and like to partake in sport and soccer betting, Jesse's your guy. He does well in every sport. He's a well-rounded individual like all of us. We have better years in some sports than others, and then the next year we may have better years in the sports we didn't do so well the year before. So when people ask us, what's your best sport? It's a loaded question. And our answers, I could say for all of us, are we do well in all. It's just a matter of how good a year we're having in one sport as opposed to the other. In any event, Jesse, let's get right to the game. I got Xavier here as a 7-point favorite. The total in this game is 145.5. Butler's not the Butler team we've seen in years past. and Xavier, really a dynamic offensive team. So what gives here? Because this seems to be a low total when it comes to a Xavier Musketeer games this year.
Well, Ross, I love a revenge game, and this is a revenge game for Xavier. They lost 89-82 in overtime to Butler last March, but I'm not looking at a side here. I'm looking at the total that you mentioned. The total for last year's game that went to overtime was listed at 131.5, way below the 145.5 it's listed at today. In fact, in the last 8 head-to-head meetings between these teams, they haven't seen a total as high as 135. Now, you mentioned that Xavier does score a ton of points. Absolutely, they do. They're averaging well over 80 points per game. They're one of the best offensive teams in the country, but they're playing on the road at Butler, and it's a bit of a look-ahead spot for Xavier. They've got Marquette on deck, and that's probably the bigger of the two games. I mean, they could be taking this Butler team for granted. Butler's not doing well right now. They're only averaging 56.6 points per game in their last 5 overall. But I didn't look at Ken Pom, but I'm sure Ross did. And Ross could tell you that Butler plays very slow. And they're going to slow this game down. They only allow 64.8 points per game at home. Given the look-ahead spot, given the fact that Butler has gone under in 4 straight and 12 of their last 16 versus teams with winning records, and the fact that the total is more than 10 points higher than it has been in any of the previous 8 head-to-head meetings, I like the under.
There you go. Xavier and Butler under 145.5. And you know me, Jesse, I'm the contrarian sort. So when I see a total this low for Xavier, it's for a reason. And I'm sure a lot of sports bettors out there will be enticed to go over the total in this matchup solely based on Xavier's resume, specifically their offensive resume. They're not a great defensive team because they like to play fast, and sometimes those numbers get askew. So keep that in mind, folks. Xavier might be underrated in that area, meaning defensively, because they like to play fast, and if they got a willing partner, they're going to give up a lot of points, but they're not going to have a willing partner in this one, as Jesse alluded to. And yes, Jesse, you are correct. Butler play, when you look at their adjusted tempo, offensive tempo that they play at, it's extremely slow. So they're at home. They're going to try to dictate the pace in this game, and I can't argue with your selection whatsoever. And most times than not, I don't have an argument with your selections because you do awful damn well, Mr. Schul. All right, let's take a look at the game I'm going to cover, and it's between the St. Louis Billikens and the Dayton Flyers. That game, 8 o'clock Eastern, ESPN2. Right now, Dayton is a 5-point favorite. The total is 136.5. Dayton has been tremendous offensively in conference play. I mean, you look at their numbers, they're number 2 in 3-point shooting at 38.5%, number 1 at 2-point shooting, and number 1 in adjusted offense during conference play, where they're averaging 109.5 points per 100 offensive possessions, which is very good, and it's right up there nationally around number 40, if I'm not mistaken. The Flyers have historically had a strong home court. This year is no exception. They're 12-1 at home this year, outscoring opponents by an average of 15.9 points per game. Their only loss was a 1-point setback against VCU, and they revenged that loss in their previous game with a 62-58 win at VCU. I mentioned Dayton is very good in conference play when it comes to shooting. Yeah, 2-point, 3-point adjusted offense. But at the end of the day, you look at defensively, especially at home, this is a Dayton team that's allowed 63 points or less in 10 of their 13 home games this season. St. Louis will be playing as a road underdog for the first time since November 27th at Auburn. And that's, it's something to be noteworthy because in all 6 conference road games this year, they've been a favorite on each occasion. They went 3-3 against the spread in those games, also lost 2 of those 6 outright. So it's not like they've been dominating in those conference road games. And this is also a Dayton team that's 3-0 straight up in 2-1 against the spread in home games this year when there's been a total of 130.5 or greater, which right now this total's at 136.5. And in those 3 games at home, they won all 3. And they allowed 56, 57, and 61 points in those home games when the total was 130.5 or greater. I'm going to go with Dayton here. I just think this strong home court, a situation that St. Louis is not used to being in. And Dayton also, Jesse, by the way, they've won their last 8 at home against St. Louis. They've also won 5 of the last 6 in this series overall. So I'm going to take Dayton. Minus the 5 over St. Louis. Jesse likes the Xavier and Butler game to go under 145.5 on Friday. That's February 10th in college basketball. Jesse, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I love Dayton in this game. I feel extremely confident that Dayton will win the game. The only reason this isn't on my premium card today is because the 5 points seems like in the A10, you see a lot of games 66 to 60, 66 to 61 or 62, and they're not giving anything away for free, the bookmakers, by listing Dayton as a minus 5 point favorite here. I could see this game being decided by 5, 6, 7 points.
Yeah, might go down to the wire. 2 very good A10 teams, 2 teams that were expected to do a lot more prior to the season. As a matter of fact, Dayton was in the top 25 in the preseason poll, AP poll, and they disappointed coming out of the gate. They've seen to regroup themselves pretty well in conference play, but this is an opportunity for them to make a statement, and I think they will. I like Dayton to win this game by anywhere from 8 points or more at home. So I'm going to take Dayton. Jesse is on the Xavier Butler game under 145.5. Jesse will be back with us next week. If he's going to be with us a few times a week discussing either college basketball or the NBA. We'll get his thoughts on the Super Bowl next week as well. So until the next time, for Jesse Schul and Ross Benjamin, I'd like to wish each and every one of you all the very best. Don't forget, folks, give us a like as your small token of appreciation, and take care and God bless.